Ready? I call the meeting to order. Please rise for silent reflection and pledge allegiance.
Second.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, yes.
Mrs. Cynthia? Mrs. King?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Schuler?
Here.
Mr. Tinkin?
Here.
Mr. Vorbach? Mayor Mechanic?
Here. Please read the Open Public Meeting Act, Jay.
Yes, pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which has been filed in the office of the Borough Clerk, posted on the Borough website and in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the CoStar newspaper, and mailed to those requesting notice and providing payment in accordance with borough policy.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that
And a
motion.
second?
I'll second it.
And Mayor, just it should be noted that under our scheduled public hearings, we do have the 2014 municipal budget. Mr. Barrett is in attendance and will be presenting the results of the state budget review, which will require us to make an amendment in the form of a resolution. So that'll be part of our agenda as well. And I believe I distributed the green copy of the draft resolution, and Mr. Barrett can explain the details of that, but I did want to mention that that is going to be part of the agenda.
And will Mr. Barrett explain that during the public hearing, Jay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on the agenda? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. We do have a scheduled public hearing on ordinance number 2014-3. This is the ordinance exceeding the appropriation limits and establishing the cap bank. Need a motion? Oh, no, sorry. It's a public comment. You have a comment on the ordinance number 2014-3? Just step forward, give your name and address. Seeing no hands, we need a motion to close it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to advertise this, Jay? Date?
Mayor, this is the final, we're ready now to do the public hearing for adoption. And in fact, this ordinance must be adopted before the budget is adopted, which is why we have this listed first.
So we can move forward.
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt? Ordinance number 2014-3.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And do you have any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have a public hearing on the 2014 municipal budget. Mr. Barrett will present before the public.
Hello. Thank you, members of council and mayor. The budget was reviewed by the state Division of Local Governmental Services. Over the course of the last few days, we've had conversations. In fact, we had a personal meeting with our reviewer in the state. The only change was required in the utility fund had to do with a $20,000 revenue item known as shared services water operator. In the past, we've had a larger number there, and because we don't have a signed interlocal agreement at this point, we couldn't anticipate that $20,000 of revenue. So the good news is that we had some room in the rents or fees for the utility that we were able to move that into. So if you look at the green sheet, it simply shows that the rents anticipated revenue going from $2,135,000 to $2,155,000, and that the shared services water operator is going from an anticipated $20,000 to zero. So we're kind of just removing that one piece of revenue. The current fund's fine, and after this amendment that you need to vote on, then you can hold public hearing on the entirety of budgets and then move to adopt. Do you have any questions?
And Mayor, again, this budget was the subject of an informal presentation to the council some 6 weeks ago. We had a special meeting with a detailed review. Several questions came out of that discussion, including, I believe Mr. O'Brien had requested additional information on the fire budget, and that information has been provided to the council tonight, which is the breakdown of the $165,000 line item for the fire company. We have distributed, made copies available to the public of the budget, and it does reflect the 1.5 cent increase. I would point out that that is a preliminary estimate based on our current assessment total valuation within the town. As you are all aware, Monmouth County is in the process of the first year of the pilot program, where our actual assessed valuation will be adjusted to reflect the tax appeals that have recently been concluded. In speaking with the tax assessor, it's anticipated that the county tax board will be issuing its final net valuation by the end of the month. So that number may change slightly, reflecting the results of tax appeals. As you know, in prior years, any adjustment in tax appeals would be reflected in the amount of taxes we collected, and therefore, as it would also show up as the amount, the percentage of taxes that were realized in the previous year. So that's somewhat of a change from prior practice, but essentially we don't anticipate that number to change dramatically. As you're aware, most of our major or larger commercial tax appeals had already been filed in prior years and are pending a tax court. That won't be affected by this change in the assessment pilot program this year.
Now, let me just make sure I have this format straight, Jay. We got the 2014 municipal budget. The public can speak on the amendment that John just...
Actually, we're holding the hearing on the published summary and the budget that was introduced. It's somewhat 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If you want to take comments at the same time on the amendment, that's also acceptable. At the close of the night, we'll need to adopt the amendment first, and then if it's the council's desire and the amendment passes, to adopt the budget as amended, if everyone followed it.
Thank you. Public would like to speak on the 2014 municipal budget. They may just step forward, give your name and address. Seeing no hands, need a motion to close that?
I'll make that motion.
You have a second?
A second?
Thank you.
Mayor, would you like to vote on the motion to close the hearing?
To close the hearing for the 2014 budget?
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make the motion to close it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. This part of the meeting, we do have the public comment section on, you may speak on agenda items.
Mayor, before we move forward,
No.
now that we've closed the hearing on the budget, the next order of business would be the council's consideration of the amendment to the budget, which is the green resolution. And again, as Mr. Barrett has indicated, that's amending only the water sewer utility portion of the budget to remove the anticipation of the $20,000 as revenue from our interlocal service and increasing by a like amount of $20,000 the anticipated rents from water and sewer.
So we vote on the amendment.
So we need a motion to approve?
And
I'll
what
make that
number,
motion.
what number would that be given to?
What's the number of that ordinance?
This would be number 83.
So I'll make the motion to adopt the amendment.
I'll second.
Do we have any other questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes?
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinker?
Yes.
And at this time, Mayor, it would be appropriate for the council to consider adopting the budget as it has now been amended.
Has been amended. Okay. So we need a motion and a second to adopt the budget as amended.
I will make the motion to adopt the amended budget.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
No.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes?
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinker?
Yes.
Okay, Jay.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, I'd like to thank Mr. Barrett for his assistance in guiding the budget preparation, and particularly in the state review and getting us to this point this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Public comment. You may speak on any agenda item you like. Just step forward, give your name and address. Seeing no hands, need a motion to close the public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We had the discussion of the tax assessment demonstration program. I think Jay just
Yes, Mayor.
a little bit on that already.
Again, we've discussed several times the county's assessment pilot program. What came out of the discussion last fall, at which Matt Clark, the county tax administrator, was present, were several concerns about the RFP process. And I know specifically the council had expressed the concern that the review and the award should be on the basis of the lowest cost and other factors, but primarily being the cost. Specifications have been prepared in a somewhat of a standard format by the county tax board. Those specifications have been reviewed by the borough attorney as in consultation with our tax assessor, Mitch Elias. The concept here is to provide for a 3-year contract. Let me go back. The program, the pilot program that the county has undertaken provides for an inspection of all properties in town on a 5-year cycle, meaning that in each year of the 5 years, approximately 20% of the properties would be physically inspected. This specification provides for a 3-year contract to do those inspections for 3 years, and then also provides that the contract could be extended for 2 additional years for a total of 5. Do I have that right, Scott? That's correct.
Now, explain how this is fair. Is it's going to be based on 1 year valuation, right? I mean, somebody having an inspection of their home 3 years ago versus this year, it's going to be a big difference.
Well, let's, if you recall the discussion in the presentation by the county tax administrator and by Mr. Elias before that, there are really 2 main factors or functions of this program, the pilot program. One is the inspections. The other, and those are done, the inspections are done on a 5-year cycle. The other part of this program is that the assessor is authorized in any year to make adjustments to assessments, not just of those properties that are inspected, but of any property. The concept is that, at least on a 5-year cycle, every property will be physically inspected to determine whether the assessment records are correct, and theoretically to pick up any additional improvements that may not have been missed or that permits may not have been taken on. So they are 2 separate components of the pilot program. So the fact that your property may be inspected this year and Jim Schuler's 3 years from now doesn't mean that your property value is going to go up and his will have to wait 3 years to go up. If there's an obvious error, the assessor has the ability to make adjustments in any year of that 5-year project.
Now, what is,
At least that's the way I
mean,
understand.
I'm not for, you know, I felt that the last time that that we did the reassessment, the town should have thought it. I was not on council at the time, but I felt that was within a 10-year, normally it's every 10 years, and was within just a few years. And I recall this entire room being filled with people that were complaining. 1/3 went up, 1/3 went down. They probably weren't here, but a lot of folks were complaining. My understanding is that's pretty much the same thing that's going to happen here. Is what Mr. Clark said, right?
Actually, as I understood Mr. Clark's presentation, the the real impetus behind this pilot program is to eliminate the need for the massive reevaluation or reassessments that have been done in the past on some 5 to 10 year cycle. And that by having these inspections done regularly, there won't be a need for full reassessments or full revaluations.
But when the Monmouth County requested, this all comes pushed down from the Monmouth County. And on this particular time, the governor passed the law saying that this had to be done. The Monmouth County then approved it. It was the only county, I believe, in the state so far that has approved this for all of us to reevaluate.
That is my
Reassess.
understanding as well.
Is it, and it's correct that Monmouth County is the only county that is pushing this on to all the municipalities?
That is my understanding as well, that Monmouth is the only town that adopted the reassessment pilot program.
And the reason why we're here and we're having this problem is because Monmouth County demanded us to have a reassessment when the market was at its height. That not true too.
Well, you know,
Yes.
I'm
My assessment reflected that.
And my point is what is the ramifications if we just don't fund this? We don't fund it.
It is my recollection that Mr. Clark's presentation was that if the municipality, if any municipality does not do the inspections on a 5-year cycle, the county will make the arrangement and have those inspections done.
And pay for it themselves.
No.
That, I'm fine with that.
I don't recall him indicating that they would pay. In fact, I believe the indication was that the cost would be added to the municipality.
How can they do that when they're not a voting body of this? They are not. Is that legal? Is that legal for Monmouth County to say that they're going to?
I think under the pilot program it is, and it's the same situation that prior to this pilot program you run into statewide where the county administrator orders a revaluation or orders a reassessment. You can challenge it in court, that process, and there's people go to tax court to dispute the determination of the county administrator, Mr. Clark, ordering it, but I believe under the pilot program it has the same type of authority. You can order it and compel it and do it on their own.
Shouldn't we look into it? Because I really feel that it's the best interest for the taxpayers. All of Fair and Muse will go up. All of Fair and Muse got a $1,000 reduction in every single home over there, and as soon as we do this reevaluation, they're all going up. They will all go up. And
well, the real benefit of it, and I see a lot of this, I do tax work in other municipalities. The problem with reassessments or revaluations that you've seen here and you've seen in other towns is you're picking a year. It could be 2008 or 2009. And it's a number that, I don't know when your last one was, but it becomes sort of an arbitrary number. People look back at it, it was either the height of the market or the bottom of the market. The Monmouth County pilot program, the problem is an assessor, in the absence of a revaluation or a reassessment, is extremely limited in his or her ability to change assessments if they see changes going on within the borough or a town of, this area of town has seen prices go up or down. They're not absent a reval or reassessment, which is a costly and time-consuming project, not allowed to do that. This program basically says to the assessor each year, you can do that provided that you've inspected 20% of the homes as opposed to achieving a reval type number of 80% of the homes a year. So instead of doing all your inspections in 1 year, you're doing them on an ongoing basis, and then each year you can adjust it. But when you're adjusting it on an annual basis, you should not have those dramatic changes where people saw their assessments double, where you went from early 2000 to 2008. A lot of towns saw their assessments, everybody knows what real estate was around here in 2000, and then a lot of towns got hit in the late 2000s, were ordered to do revals, 2007, 8, 9 type numbers, and people saw their assessments double. The tax rate gets accordingly adjusted, in theory, in half, but by doing it on an annual basis, you're trying to prevent that sort of dated thing. I mean, if you go up into the, East Orange or something, 50 years without doing a reval, and their numbers were so off, it was, you know, and that's kind of what this program is intended to prevent.
And if everybody is paying, I mean, the idea behind it is to make sure that, you know, the majority of the town is assessed at the actual value of their home. I mean, you have to remember that your tax burden is, I mean, part of it's the value of your home, but it's a percentage of the, you know, the entire tax bill that the town pays, right? So if 90% of the houses in town are valued correctly, and your house is valued correctly against those 90% of the town, then you're paying the right amount of taxes. Whether or not they went up, like if the value of your home happened to go up 30%, like in reality, well, then your tax burden does go up 30%. I know the last time we did a big reval, a lot of people were complaining, but in reality, we had several people come in and say, look, my home was valued at $800,000 and my tax bill went up 30%. And, you know, how much is your home worth? $800,000. If everybody's house is valued correctly, then they're paying the correct tax burden. You can argue that, you know, the way that we do that is unfair, but if this program works, I mean, I doubt, you know, I have my doubts, but the way that we've been doing it hasn't worked very well. If it does work, then if most of the town is valued properly, then you should, in theory, be paying the proper valuation. I don't know if there's any really good way to do it, but maybe this is a little bit better.
Well, the problem is that we had the evaluation the last time at the height of the market. The next year, the market crashed.
Yeah, but it didn't matter. If the entire town was valued at the height of the market and everybody was valued at that moment to be correct, you know, you were paying your correct burden at that given time. I mean, it was what it was. I think that's why this program is a little bit better in that the tax assessor, at least, if the next year the market falls off dramatically and it affects certain segments of the town inconsistently, he can look at that and say, look, you know, the real estate values in this half of the town dropped 50% compared to this half of the town, which only dropped 30%, and the tax burden should shift accordingly.
Correct, and in the absence of a reval or a reassessment, a full-blown reval, the assessor really couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Their role to adjust individual assessments was limited absent an appeal, which is.
But you know as well as I do that it's not like you have one assessor now. And when you have somebody that's inspecting a property, one person's opinion is different than another person's opinion. That doesn't make it as fair. And then you have 3 different years in there, when normally when you do a reval, you do it in 1 year. If you do it in the same year, everybody in the same year. So now you have 3 years from now, somebody may be getting an evaluation, and year by year, month by month, somebody's evaluation of the market is a little different.
Thank you, Madam. Scott, I missed the meeting when Mr. Clark, the chair, was out. The resident can still contest the bill.
Absolutely, and the other thing about this pilot program, which Jay touched upon, that Monmouth County is doing that other counties are not, is if you wanted to appeal your taxes, the deadline to file, instead of being April 1, was I think January 15th, off the top of my head. But the hearings have already been conducted. In Ocean County, hearings are being scheduled in June, July, and August. The benefit of this actually benefits you in that regard because the budget is much more current. You know, the actual levy is going to be based upon the actual post-appeal assessments for residents because the hearings have already been conducted. Whereas other counties, they run them into the summer and municipalities adopt their budgets well in advance of that, and then you have to deal with refunds and things of that nature. So that part is, you still have the ability to appeal it, and the process is sooner in the process.
In terms of this request for proposal, it looks like the initial one runs through December 31, 2016, is that correct?
That's correct, it's 3 years, initial 3-year term.
Okay, so, Council, let's say, you know, we end up hiring somebody and they're doing a horrible job. Are we bound by this 3-year time notice, or we can?
If they're in breach of the contract, you could terminate them for cause.
Well, I mean, what if our residents begin to complain about the way they're conducting inspections or things like that? And then maybe they're not breaching the contract, but residents come and express some displeasure and we find out that things aren't going as smoothly. What is our recourse in terms of getting out of that? I mean, do we need to have a multi-year award?
It actually has in the specs, if at any time you're unsatisfied, you have the right to terminate it unilaterally.
So, but that's just us determining, needs to be no, there's no threshold for evidence, right?
Breach of contract.
It reserves the right to unilaterally terminate it. It's essentially like a professional service type contract, so it's
Fine.
similar to any of your professionals, and it's being bid as a fair and open process, but it's a professional service. It's not the lowest bid per se, although I understand that's the goal of the council, but it's being awarded on price and other factors considered, and the specs say you have the right to terminate on 30 days.
Right. Well, we did pass a resolution stating that we will take the lowest bid.
Yes. Chris?
And Mayor, knowing sensing the sensitivity of this issue, we would normally go out to bid based on these specifications. Again, I have distributed them for the council's review. There were a couple of other, what I'll call, less important issues than the cost, but as I recall, the questions had to deal with the notification of property owners and the identification. I would point out that the specifications specifically require and outline the ID requirements and the submission of employees that the contractor will be utilizing to perform these inspections, and as well as the specifications provide a timeline during which in each year of the cycle the information needs to be submitted. And as Mr. Keneally has indicated, the goal is that each year the assessor is obligated to provide notification via the postcards to property owners as to what the valuation is, and so that is outlined within the specifications as well. So at this point, the question before the council is, are we ready to move forward to the next step, which is to actually solicit the quotations, and it would be subject to final award by the council, or are there other aspects of the specifications that need to be included or further reviewed?
Well, something just came into my head listening to Chris speak, talk. And is there some way where it would be feasible to have a questionnaire after the inspection was done, that the residents could give their input, how they were treated or how they felt about how the inspection went? And if we get enough negative feedback, then maybe something can be done. I don't know if that's feasible.
I'm sure we could. It's not part of the specification, but if we on our own wanted to initiate some sort of a, we would certainly we're open to feedback as far as comments. And my guess is that if people are unhappy, one of us will hear about it.
Okay, yeah.
You kind of run the gambit then of, because people aren't going to be positive about it. Nobody wants to have their house reassessed. But you're going to get a percentage of people that might give a negative comment here or there. But then what do? You then fire that appraiser and hire somebody else, which would be another thing that makes the evaluations not fair. It should just be one evaluation, 1 year, and just say it in 1 year.
And that actually was part of the discussion that one of the concerns initially was if you go out to bid every year for this, you could have different vendors that bring a different approach, although essentially everyone is using the same guidelines. Essentially, they're looking...
There's only so many vendors, too. I mean, so we're limited in that way.
That is correct. There are a...
I mean, this is a very closed group, and now, there's food in the water.
I'm more upset about the 3-year time period of doing this, where one person's going to get their evaluation, their increase 1 year, and another person's got to wait a couple of years.
Well, again, maybe I'm not saying it correctly, but the fact that your property may be inspected in year 1 and Mr. Schuler's in year 3, doesn't mean you're going to see an increase necessarily in the first year, and he won't see an increase into the third year. The actual concept that Mr. Keneally outlined is that under this program, the assessor now has the ability to make adjustments up or down everywhere, not just the houses that were inspected in the current year.
Thank you, Gary, I didn't realize that myself. Thank you. Do you understand this? Okay, I guess it's complicated, I know. It's difficult. But like Tom makes a good point, even though the old system may not be perfect, it may be better than the old.
It's gotta be better.
Right, Tom?
I don't know, I didn't like the,
We can-
I don't like either, but what can you do?
Okay, Jay.
Mayor, I'm just going to suggest that absent any direction otherwise, we will finalize these specifications and establish a date for the return of those proposals sometime, let's see, for now, I'm going to say that we're probably looking at in early June receiving these proposals.
Okay, Jay, thank you. At this point in the meeting, we have the council reports. We start with Councilman Timpson.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. A couple of things tonight. Our second round of recreation summer program signups. There's 3 rounds. The second round will be May 28th. And Jay, I believe they're held here.
That's correct.
So May 28th here at Borough Hall in the evening. The fee for the summer program is $120 for residents. We are going to open it up to a small number of non-residents at a $150 fee. Last year we had about 207 children came. That was, I think, our biggest total on record. And we see we were asked by people in some of the neighboring towns if they could sign up. We didn't have anything in place, but this year we're putting a non-resident program in place. No resident will be displaced from a non-resident. We're expanding the program once again. We have several special days planned. We'll have a DJ on one day. We have a little dance party. We're going to have some water slides. The fire truck is going to be coming. We're also going to be doing some tennis one day a week. We'll also be doing some bowling one day a week. And we're also, we have an artist in residence coming for a fee. Students can sign up to do some art classes. And we're also, once again, we're trying to get golf lessons back. We're looking at partnering with the Monmouth County Parks for some programs as well, but we're still in discussion with those. But there will be more programs coming during the summer. I think perhaps maybe one of the newest change to the summer program is we had requests last year from groups of parents, can you extend it? Can you make it longer? Now, of course, there's always the issue running into, we're working with the school and the school needs to get ready, but the school has made another week available to us, so we're going to extend the program another week. However, it's going to be, it's not covered within the initial tuition. It's going to be an extra fee of $30 for the week. We're taking those reservations up front so that we can staff it appropriately, because our thought is the fees that we collect we can use to break even on the extra additional fees it would take to run the program. And that's really the goal. We're a fee-based program, what comes in and goes out. So that's how we're going to run it, but it will be extended an extra week for parents if they want to take advantage of that extra fee. It's all in the registration. All you have to do is check the box and send the check. So that's May 28th. May 31st is the annual yard sale. So please remember to come down, get your name on the list, get your residence on the map. And then the next day, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Griffin, we are still going ahead with the Shore Road cleanup, June 1st. That's a Sunday, I believe, from 10 to 2? Okay, 10 to 2, Shore Road cleanup, June 1st. So May 31st, yard sale, June 1st, Shore Road cleanup. And then, as I alluded to at the last meeting, we are looking into the Moonlight kayak sometime in July when the moon is out. More to come,
It's around the 15th.
around 15, excellent. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cindy.
Yes, well, for the Department of Public Works, we basically have openings that are, have been posted. We have one seasonal position left. We have 2 part-time positions, permanent part-time positions that are available. And the Superintendent of Public Works, I would like a shout out to the CoStar that we're lengthening the time of when we will accept applications, and we would like to see residents apply for that, if at all possible.
I thought it was closed.
Also, the hiring of water flushing. I got a call today from Kevin Garrity, who advised that they will be flushing the water mains for the next 2 weeks, the hydrants. And they found that it's dirtier than normal, probably because of different water main breaks during the year. And it used to be done at night, but for some reason it's changed to the day. Is there a reason for that?
It's been days since I've been here, but I do understand that at some point in the past it was done at night.
Okay, but do you know why it was changed?
I believe it was primarily cost savings, the elimination of overtime.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's, you know, apparently it does cause a problem with the restaurants and the laundromats having dirtier water during the day when they're operating. But anyways, he wants us to make certain that the public knows about the water being possibly dirtier than normal.
Can I correct that?
And that's it.
Not dirty, rusty.
I can use dirty.
Thank you. Councilwoman King.
The only thing that I have is that one of our police officers, Zachary Ramp, for the second time is going to be honored at a luncheon on Wednesday, June the 11th, up in Middlesex. And it is for the New Jersey chapter of Mothers Against Drunk Driving for outstanding and distinguished service to the community for DUI, DWI enforcement in the year of 2013, which is considered saving lives by preventing crashes. So our congratulations to Zach Ramp for that achievement.
Thank you. Councilman Chu.
I don't have anything to, on the water department. I would like to comment that I've been scammed twice this week. I had a call one night requesting credit card information. I found out it was false. Then I got a telephone call that my grandson was in jail and needed $2,500 bailout, which again was false. So I want to make sure that people are aware that it's going on again.
Thank you, dude. You didn't fall for this, did you?
No, I did not send the $2,500.
I got one said Mechanico was in jail, I said leave him there.
Councilman O'Brien.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank John Jarrett and Jay for helping get the budget together and getting it adopted tonight. That's it.
Thank you.
Mayor, also if I may interrupt, there has been a recent report, you may have seen in the newspaper, the State Department of Transportation announced the award of municipal aid grants based on applications that were submitted last fall. We have not received formal notification, but Spring Lake Heights has been approved for a municipal aid grant for the reconstruction of Mercer Avenue in the amount of $200,000. So you will be seeing that notification. I'm told that it was sent to the wrong Spring Lake, but that the official word is on its way.
Okay.
As long as it goes to the right bank account.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, on the correspondence, the police report, court report, the energy receipt tax resolution, and the 2014 grant program announcement. Anybody have anything they'd like to speak on that? No? Okay. Ordinance introduction. We have the salary and wage, ordinance number 2014-4. This would be the 2014 salary and wage ordinance. We need a motion and a second to introduce.
Now, we're voting on what we've
We
already,
talked about. We've finished that. No one else on anything on that, correct? We're all good with the,
Before we adopt this, the public's gonna be able to see this, right?
Yes, there were a number, of just
I just
again, for
wanted
the
to
benefit of the
make that
public, the council discussed the draft, there were several changes that have been penciled in. This is for introduction by title, it will be published and posted in its final form. The public hearing will be scheduled for our next regular meeting,
Okay.
at which time will be public comment.
okay, we need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Abstain.
Mrs. King?
yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. We have resolutions, about 5 or 6. Resolution R 2014-84, this authorizing a tax lien. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-85, approving the appointment of one temporary seasonal public works department employee. Motion and a second.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2014-86, approving a contract to East Point Engineering for a roadway improvement program. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Second.
Do we have any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-87, approving community center for use. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-88, approving the outdoor music permit. Motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to move the bills and finance committee.
I'll make the motion to move the bills to the finance committee.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-88, approving the payment claims for May 7, 2014.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay?
Mrs. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Thank you. Jay, there's no more amendments or resolutions, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We have the public,
Mayor, just to remind you, as a result of the discussion in executive session, I believe it's the council's intention to go back into closed. Is another resolution required at that time?
Are you gonna do the public comment now, or the?
We do public comment, but the question is just whether we'll do whether a new resolution is needed or we're going back into the original closed session.
There should be a resolution to return to closed session.
Resolution to adjourn.
well, we'll do the
To
public
vote.
comment.
You're gonna do public
then-
comment, that's fine.
Okay. At this point in the meeting, we have a public comment session. You may speak on any item you choose. Just step forward, give your name and address on anything that happens to be on your mind. Seeing no hands, could I close the public comment
I'll
session?
make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to retire to executive session to finish business.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mayor, it should be noted that we do not anticipate coming back into open session and taking any formal action.
No formal action will be taken.